Okay. Now, Nuvi, just so if anybody has any questions, it's a badass social analytics platform. Now, they're not going to say that, obviously, because they have branding to worry about, but as someone who uses the software, I'll go ahead and say it for them. Also, it's probably the sexiest software I've ever seen. I mean, this is a screenshot right here. Just look at that. I mean, it's beautiful. And as a visual data representation tool, it is phenomenal. But it also has brains. And you think that I'd go a model there or something that someone has like a degree or something. But actually, I'm going to go with Dolph Lundgren, keeping this 80s movie theme going here. Anybody who doesn't know who Dolph Lundgren is, well, you clearly weren't around in the 80s. But this is him now, just the silver fox, but this is him younger, as we all recognize that face from Rocky. He actually has 2 bachelor's degrees and a master's degree to go along with that physique. He is the Nuvi of the movie world, if you will. All right, so let's get into the actual meat and potatoes of the presentation today. So I want to show you guys 2 charts real quick, and it's going to be on a subject that we'll be talking about today. Here's the first one. And you'll notice right around the beginning of this year, just this massive spike. And this is a Google Trends report, and it's showing that interest is peaking right around now, but it actually continues to go up, and next month it'll probably be even higher. And then this right here is a analytics report from a interest in links and different SEO metrics. These the video that these charts coincide with is actually Tasty. Everybody know what Tasty is? If you don't know what Tasty is, you probably haven't been on Facebook in the last 6 months. But Tasty is the trend that is sweeping Facebook right now, and it is the recipe videos that you see, top down, creating brownies and whatnot. It is probably one of the most successful social video campaigns that has ever been created. And we're going to go over a few of the activities that they've taken, some of the methodologies behind it, and then what we can learn from it, and also how can we create our own tasties. Obviously, probably not to the same success level, but how can we use what we learned today to do that? So here's some of the stats from Tasty. It has, just in March, as most recent ones I could get the stats on, 2.2 billion, with a B, views on their Facebook page. Since then, some people are estimating that it's actually doubled and could be north of 4 billion views. It is 70 million likes on their brand page, the BuzzFeed Tasty page, and it's also spawned about a dozen sub-Tasty brands where it has a Tasty, Proper Tasty, Miam Tasty, so they have a French Tasty, a British Tasty, a Middle Eastern Tasty, all these different things. All of them have millions of likes, millions of views, and quite frankly, it actually makes up 100% of the videos that I've saved on Facebook. In fact, I never saved a video on Facebook until Tasty came around. And if you're wanting proof, this is a direct screenshot of my saved videos. Yes, this just shows you that I have expectations of either becoming a chef one day or at some point eating myself into a coma. I have actually made 1 or 2 of the recipes that I have seen from Tasty, and they've actually turned out. So you wouldn't be able to call it a Pinterest fail, as my wife likes to call her attempts. All right, so now as we look at Tasty, though, let's figure out why did it succeed, because nothing else has succeeded quite like it when it comes to Facebook videos. So let's break it down to its components. 1, great visuals. The fact that it always keeps a consistent look and feel to the videos, and that the videos are very simple and they jump right into what is going on there. It is if for anybody who has not seen one, we'll describe it for you, but it is a top-down view of a cutting board, and someone is creating a recipe, and they just take all the basic components, mix them up, cook it, and it's always top-down. And what it does is it does some very good things. It also takes advantage of Facebook's autoplay feature. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, these 3 channels, they have autoplay features, meaning as you are scrolling through your news feeds or your content feeds there, videos will begin playing. If you're on a if you're on a cell network, it can be limited sometimes, so they might not immediately start playing, but if you are on 4G, it will start playing. If you're on Wi-Fi, it will always start playing. What that means is if you are scrolling, and if you think of your cell phone as real estate, you have maybe 3 to 4 inches of real estate there. And if a post takes up almost 2 inches of real estate, you have to catch someone's attention in the time that it takes for them to move their thumb from the bottom of the page to the top of the page. That's a big ask. Think about that. And they have successfully done that. They understand that the thing that sells right away is the image of the finalized product. So the video pauses or begins on the image of what it will be, and then immediately jumps into the process of building it. They don't put up a splash page. They don't put up an introduction or anything like that, because they know they have to get right to the attention of their audience. Otherwise, they're going to lose them, and they're going to keep scrolling right by them. Okay? They also understand their audience. So right now on Facebook, it's not necessarily, it's older millennials up to Gen Xers that are really, really active on Facebook. The Gen Y and the younger generation, 13 to 30, they're actually more Snapchat and other social networks. But Facebook, the tasty videos are really geared towards people who would be cooking. And younger generations really don't cook too much. Stats say that they are eating out quite a bit more. And so they understood that Facebook was probably the best network for them to push this. Not necessarily Snapchat, although they have pushed to Snapchat now, and not even on Instagram, but Facebook. So understanding who their target audience was, they leveraged the right network for them. Also, they paid attention to what the data was saying and understood that do-it-yourself was a big trend going on. So they went and took a do-it-yourself piece and then started building off of that. But what they do with that is they empower people. They don't want to necessarily make people have to be overwhelmed by the thought of making chicken tikka masala, right? Something that people might think is very complex. They break it down to its most basic parts, and they empower people. They also understand that everybody loves food, so they took a very broad audience approach to this. Brevity. Every video they make is between 30 seconds and 2 minutes. That is critical, again, for attention spans nowadays. We have become hummingbirds or goldfish. We do not have attention spans, and they make sure that they get everything they need in that small time frame. They also, as I mentioned, use the right network for their audience, and data. Data. Here is something that a lot of people don't know. A lot of people think BuzzFeed is just some dumb publishing company. They are actually probably one of the most data-driven organizations in the world. Everything they do is based off of macro and micro data. They look at market trends, they look at interest trends, and then they get down to the most nitty-gritty little pieces and data sets, and they dig for those nuggets. And what they found were that recipes were a trend. Well, they made it into a phenomenon by doing what they're doing. But they had initial data telling them this will probably be successful. In fact, it didn't take off right away. They launched it last year in July, but it really hockey sticked around February of this year is where it really got its traction. But up until then, it wasn't as successful as you see it now, where some of their videos are getting over 100 million views within a week. But data. Now, again, going into that, how do we personalize what we see that Tasty was doing? Okay, so understanding your audience. How do you understand your audience? Well, regardless of your industry, I'm talking B2C, B2B, anything. Buyer personas, building out flesh and blood representations of who your people are that you are targeting. What are their likes? What are their interests? Where do they go? What do they enjoy watching? Who are they influenced by? These are the things you should know, okay? With that, there's also the customer journey, okay? And this is a term used in marketing that describes how does your customer get from awareness, just finding out about you or your product, to close. It's a funnel, it's a customer journey, it's whatever you want to call it, but what is the customer journey? So for BuzzFeed, their customer journey, because what is their customer to them? Their customer are views on their website or views on their videos that they can then monetize. What they care about are actually not purchases, but they care about traction and traffic. So they understand that they have to get people interested. Their customer journey is getting awareness and then getting them hooked, getting them to want to continue to go down the rabbit hole, go look at more pages, spend more time on their videos, so that their videos are more valuable for sponsorships and that their website is more valuable for display ads. Pain points that they care about. They know that people want to cook better, healthier meals, want to, that there is a trend for people to get back into the home and cook what they eat, as opposed to always eating out. There is a healthy Whole Foods type movement going on. And so they understood that a pain point right now was, how do I cook better meals in less time? How do I take what seems to be insurmountable and make it mountable or surmountable? If it's insurmountable, I don't know. There's a grammar lesson for you guys, but I might be wrong there. But that does the next point, which is empower. Okay, so if you're looking to empower someone, you're solving their problems. That's what empowering is. Solve their problems. So they found a problem and solved it for them. What problems do your customers experience? How can you solve them? How can you actually go through the steps of telling them how to solve it? A lot of people come to us and we tell people when we're doing content marketing or social media marketing for them that they will look at it and say, Mike, I can't give that away. If they know, they're not going to use us. Whether a plumber says they can't show a pipe fixing, or a car mechanic can't show how to fix a car, or a SaaS company can't show how to go and dig into analytics without them. Truth of the matter is, people want to do these things and they want to find it out. And if you don't tell them, they're still going to go and find it out from someone else. But if you can build that relationship, it will engender trust between you and your customer. And a relationship of trust is one that you are aiming for. That's what makes customers return. That's what makes customers stick. And content marketing, which video marketing is a big piece of content marketing, is nothing more than your company building a relationship with your customer. And that is through trust, and that is by empowering, and that is by solving their problems. Okay, networks they care about, they leverage the networks that they knew were effective for their target audience, the groups that share most. They do understand that women ages 25 to 45 are some of the biggest sharers on social media. Let's target them. Let's use them to really take the message out. So if you do have an audience, whether it's B2B, is it LinkedIn, the network? Is it Twitter? Is it Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, Pinterest, whatever it may be, understand where they are and how they interact. Again, understanding the network that you are promoting on. So with Facebook and Instagram, you do have to understand that it is the autoplay feature and that you do have to catch their attention very, very quickly. It also does not have sound. Here's another thing that the New York Times does incredibly well. The New York Times started adding subtitles to everything they create in terms of video, because what good is a talking head if you cannot hear them? Most people are watching video on their mobile devices. Oftentimes that may be on a train, during a meeting, during church, wherever it may be. Let's all admit it. We've all checked our fantasy sports when we shouldn't have been, or we've all been watching videos where we shouldn't have been. And people don't want sound all of a sudden playing and being a jarring thing, and they have to scramble to mute it. Instead, people enjoy watching something and understanding what's going on. How many times have you sat there and watched and read all the subtitles? So that is an understanding of the network, an understanding of the system and how it works. If you're creating videos without subtitles and putting them on Facebook and Instagram, you're losing out. Okay, you are. You want to ensure that those, and Twitter is the same way there as well. LinkedIn does not have the autoplay feature, so you have to capture their attention with the call out and getting them to actually click on the play. Similar with Pinterest, they do not have the autoplay feature, so you have to get them to click on it and to make them want to watch it with some type of call out or call to action. Attention spans, understanding that certain networks do lend to shorter attention spans. Snapchat is a very short attention span. Instagram is a little bit longer. It's a little bit more artistic. People do oftentimes look for detailed pictures or very beautiful imagery, and then they spend some time with it. Twitter, you do have a little bit of a longer attention span because you are reading through your news feed, and so you can usually capture people's attention span faster. Facebook, people are usually scrolling through, and it is a shorter attention span because there is so much familiarity with Facebook that people scroll quickly to find what they are familiar with. So they're looking for faces of people that they actually care to read about, or they're looking for the brand pictures that they know about. And that's why you have to catch them very quickly. Then also understanding how the algorithms for these networks work. How do Facebook videos go viral? What do they require? Well, they require likes, shares, comments. They require a high relevancy score. Facebook is based off of a relevancy score, as is Instagram. Twitter, they have a different scoring system based more on engagement rate, but you have to understand what the engagement rates, what the value scores of your posts are, and how to get those as high as possible, because the higher the value score on which network you're working with is what's going to allow those videos to have the most legs. Also, again, from Tasty, understanding trends and using data. So BuzzFeed in general has an entire data department that is always looking for what's new, what's next, what's hot. They are constantly keeping their ear to the ground so they don't get one up because they don't want to have the next BuzzFeed steal their lunch. And they have in certain ways with Upworthy and some of these other publishing companies that have been just a little bit faster. But even with that, they do stay on top of their game by understanding what is hot out there. Setting up certain alerts, being able to watch and understand your gut instincts. And what I mean by that is usually you don't know what to go look for until there is an impetus for that curiosity. And so look at what you are doing. Be active on social media. And when you start to notice something, don't look at it as just a passing occurrence in your mind of, oh, that's interesting, but really stop and think about that and say, am I seeing a lot of this? Am I noticing this becoming a little bit of a trend? This has been in my newsfeed quite a bit. Maybe I should do some digging. And if you go into tools like Google Trends or Nuvi or any of these types of data mining tools, and you notice that there are some upward trends there, then you want to catch something on the way up, not on the way down, not when it's going into irrelevancy, but rather while it's still on its way up. Which brings into testing. There are going to be times that you think you've hit on something and you haven't. I'll tell you that right now. You think you've hit on something and it's going to be a big giant flop. Do not get discouraged. Do not. It is trial and error. You will err in trial and error. So you try something else. Or even with a certain topic, you might have to try 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 different methods of getting there. There were many groups before Tasty that were posting images of recipes. This was big on Pinterest. The image of the recipe and then the step-by-step instructions after that. They were one of the first. They were not the first, but they were one of the first to introduce the idea of the video of the recipe, breaking it down into such easy, quick steps in 30 seconds to a minute 50. And they were the ones that really pushed that. Now, again, I know I'm going over Tasty. If anybody out there is in the B2B world, trust me, everything we're talking about pertains to you. Anybody in B2C, it pertains to you as well. Yes, they are a publishing company, but what they are doing is they are creating an emotional response in their audience. And that, first and foremost, as a marketer, is your job to create an emotional response, because if you can create that emotional response, everything else falls into place. Everything else can be systematic, but until you create that emotional response, you have not created any type of engagement with your target audience. So that has to happen. Now, they've also understood content creation. If you look at the Tasty videos, they're all consistent. Why do they do that? So that when people see a Tasty video, they immediately have recognition of the previous Tasty videos, and that recognition builds on their understanding of it, and it allows them to want to see more. So if they see the hands over the chopping block or over the cutting board, they will stop and they will watch because it has that consistency. The branding, it always has similar music. It always has similar hands that are working. And in fact, they've started to use the name of the people behind the hands. They've started bringing their kids in certain cases for Tasty Kids, and they have their children's hands helping them out. And they expanded on a great idea. When they found that traction, they went deep, 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 deep. Has it peaked yet? It actually hasn't. As you saw in those previous trends charts that I showed you, it's still on the way up. So they're continuing to go deeper and deeper and deeper until it actually levels off. And then they may start to plateau on the content creation side, or they might start looking for new ideas, or they will be looking for new ideas on the way up. But they continue to dig, and you should do the same. You should look for consistency in your content. You should be expanding on great ideas. If you have something that's very popular, you continue to go on there. So how do we make our own Tasty videos? How do we create our own campaigns that might not be as successful as Tasty, but can follow some of the same trends? Again, solve your customers' problems. Make them feel empowered. Give it to them quickly. Catch their attention. Remember, catch their intention. Don't hold back. Do not think this is the secret sauce. I can't tell them the secret sauce. With the secret sauce, they don't need me anymore. No, the fact of the matter is, in business and with content, the more people understand how to make the sausage, the less they want to make the sausage a lot of times. So show them. Okay? Embrace the rough cut. This is something that is critical for B2C. People want authenticity. Social media has opened up this idea of people engaging one-on-one with a brand. The brand is no longer an entity, but rather it is a person. It is not just some corporation out there. It is another individual that they are interacting with. Social media has this weird ability to make people feel like every interaction is one-on-one. And so embrace your rough cuts. If something doesn't look perfect, if something's not entirely polished, that's okay. It will actually help in a lot of cases. What you find is that some of the most popular videos out there for the B2C vertical are people doing unboxings of new products, or people trying on new products, or brands showing the shipments coming in, or brands showing a failed prototype. Being real, embrace that. Okay, identifying your audience's habits and then going after those. Again, habits are something that people do because they give them an emotional response. If you can tap into a habit of someone, whether it's watching a video, eating, taking some type of activity, you have a greater chance of getting that emotional response. Promote, promote, promote. We'll go into that in just a moment. As I mentioned, trial and error. Keep trying, and the last one, never give up. Continue to go, because it might not be your 4th, 5th, 6th, or 100th effort that hits, but it will hit. It will. If you follow the steps, you will find that successful video marketing campaign. So as we look at the networks that you can be doing social video on right now, here's what we can look at some of the pros and cons of them. YouTube. Now, some people say, YouTube's not social. Actually, it is. It's tied into Google, and it is. And it's one of the few that actually gives you SEO benefits to your videos. Facebook and Instagram, you cannot find videos through a search engine on Facebook and Instagram. They're not indexed in the same way that YouTube is. So if you are looking to capture people through awareness or through exploratory stages of search, YouTube is the way to go. You put it, and again, there's other video platforms like Vimeo, but for all intents and purposes, YouTube has 90% of the market share. So let's talk about that. It's also owned by Google. It has some proprietary algorithm tie-ins with the Google algorithm. So let's talk about YouTube. So you post a video on YouTube, you can SEO optimize it, you can build links to it. It allows you to customize that video with callouts. You can put buttons on there, pop-ups. Hey, do you want to download this? Or hey, view our other video, schedule a demo. You can do all of that on YouTube, then you cannot do that on Facebook. Okay, so that's great. It can also allow it to be embedded on any site. You just take the code from YouTube and go and put it on your website, go put it anywhere, including Facebook. Facebook will strip out the YouTube player and they will make it its own player, but that's what the benefits of YouTube are. So do not ignore YouTube. YouTube should still be the cornerstone of all video marketing. Put it on YouTube, promote it on social media. Facebook and Instagram, benefits there, autoplay. Again, autoplay is a big feature. Limitation is the no sound. Ensure that you do have that the text, or at least giving them an idea of what they are watching through imagery. Scroll-based, you got to hit them quick. And they do have live streaming, Facebook Live. So again, this goes back to embracing the rough cut. This is showing your audience behind the scenes. Take your phone and show them the pallets coming off the truck. Take your phone and go down to your customer service center and start showing people taking calls. Take your phone and do these types of things and give people an inside look. You will be rewarded for it. Snapchat, video is everything on Snapchat. It is the cornerstone. So whereas some of these other networks, they do have images and they do also talk about just text posts, Snapchat, you are almost exclusively video nowadays. Snapchat stories are a great feature of Snapchat where you can tie together several videos and tell a story with it. It's always timely because you do have to watch these things within 24 hours, and it is considered more raw and uncensored. And so you will notice that people have a higher emotional attachment to certain Snapchat brands because they feel like it is more of that one-on-one, me and them just talking. Also, if you're 13 to 30 years old, you probably have Snapchat, and if that's your target audience, you got to be on Snapchat. You do. Okay. Twitter, I hate to say it, but it's been copied and improved upon by everyone. Vines were Snapchats, Instagram stole them, live streaming on Periscope was then taken by Facebook. Whatever Twitter does, everybody else just takes and does better. It's a sad truth because Twitter is actually one of my favorite networks. I find it still very effective for certain verticals and industries, but I will be honest, it is tough to get a good ROI on Twitter sometimes. Okay, so now we go into the promotional strategies. Got Kevin Costner here. Why do I have Kevin Costner? Well, first off, my wife is in love with the man, and he is the individual that if she ever saw across the room and he winked at her, she would leave me in a heartbeat. I don't get it. I think he looks like a wallet now because he's super old, but He was in one of my favorite movies of all times. Actually, most of them. Love of the Game, Tin Cup, Bull Durham, but Field of Dreams is one of the best ones. In Field of Dreams, what's the classic line that's whispered across the field? If you build it, they will come. I tried to whisper that loud so everybody could hear it, but if you build it, they will come. Really, it says if you build it, he will come, but it's been misquoted as if you build it, they will come. Unfortunately, this does not hold true for your marketing and for content marketing in general. I preach this all the time. If content marketing is king, and video is a massive piece of content marketing, so use those terms interchangeably there, then promotion is queen. You have to promote, you have to promote. So how do we get people out there? Include influencers and thought leaders in your video, whether it's using them as a quote, whether it's using them as a reference, or whether it's asking them to be part of your webinar, part of your webcast, or you are snapping some of their stuff, asking for permission to use it and putting it into your video. Why do you do this? Because everyone is a self-promoter. And if you can send them your content and say, hey, mentioned you in this, thanks so much for your help, they are more likely to push it out to their audience, okay? Put some budget behind it. Again, understand how the algorithms work and promote your posts on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, Twitter. Snapchat has not opened up to the masses yet, but very soon people will have the same ad tools there. LinkedIn does provide those ad tools, but promote your videos. You want to put some budget behind it. It doesn't require a lot. You can get thousands of views for a budget of $5 to $10 sometimes on most of the networks if you are just smart about how you are promoting it, okay? And what you can do is you can view that as seeding the tip jar. People are more likely to tip if they see money in the jar. People are more likely to share a video if they see a ton of comments, a ton of shares, and a lot of views behind it, because now they're not the first one. They're not being the first to step off the curb. Okay, put it on YouTube and optimize it for SEO. Again, that is a great discovery tool. It should never be ignored and should always, always, always be a cornerstone because it's free traffic, free discovery, and it is an essential piece to video still. Ask influencers in circles of content to share the video. Ask your friends, family, coworkers to share your videos. You never know who's going to somehow just randomly share it with someone that's a massive influencer and it's going to go crazy. We've seen videos all of a sudden spike because the right person shared it. The same way, even if you don't include these influencers and thought leaders in your video, if you know it's something they would be encouraged by or something that is right up their vertical, ask them to share it. Ask them for their thoughts on the matter. Ask them to take a look at it and give you some advice on it. That is a great way for, first off, to get them to interact with you and maybe even build that relationship with them for future engagements. But it's also a way for you to tap into their network if they are feeling magnanimous that day. Newsjacking. What is newsjacking? Newsjacking is a growth hacking method of going out, finding stuff that is already trending and jumping on that trend. Again, it's keeping your ear to the ground, looking for data. So if you were looking for something to newsjack, you go out and find something that is very popular in pop culture, something that is still coming up and something that people are searching for a lot. Because if people are searching for it, if they see it in their newsfeed, they're more likely to stop and watch it. If people are searching for it, you're more likely to be able to pop up in the Google search results. So find topics in your industry that people are talking about, or find topics that you can tie into your industry. Some of the most brilliant things we've seen are people newsjacking certain events for their brand, even though it has nothing to do with their brand. One of the most popular ones of this would have to be Oreo during the blackout of Super Bowl 3 years ago, where they were able to do a social media post that immediately keyed in on the lights being out at the Super Bowl, and it was one of the most popular social media posts of all time. Okay, barnacle marketing. What is barnacle marketing? So some of the attendees of this webinar probably don't have massive budgets. If you do, awesome. I'm going to shake your hand. But if you don't, like 90% of the marketers out there, you don't have millions of dollars to go and build your brand, to go and build your product name, to do these types of things. So how can you do that? Well, juxtapose your brand or your product to people that have those massive budgets. If people are out there searching for Nike, juxtapose yourself as the alternative, the cooler, the hipster version of Nike. If people are out there searching for Salesforce, talk to them about a pros and cons versus you versus Salesforce. What is that? It's barnacle. You're let's be honest. You're a barnacle on a ship that has millions of dollars in marketing budget, and you're just hoping for some scraps. But those scraps are valuable at first, and they help you build ROI in your marketing campaigns, which allow you to scale up your marketing campaigns, which allow you to evolve from a barnacle up to a whale and eventually have your own barnacles clinging to you. I'm not a scientist, but I do believe whales came from barnacles. Don't quote me on that. I didn't really pass biology at any level. Skyscraper method. Okay, this is where you find a successful piece of content and you build upon it. You skyscraper it, you build higher than it. So this is going out and seeing if someone wrote a 10 best ways to get a college degree. Well, you're going to go out there and said the 13 better ways to get a college degree. Going to go out to the influencers that shared the first one and said, hey, I saw you, shared this previous one. I feel like I've added a little bit to it. Would you mind also looking into this? Or even going to the original piece and saying, hey, I wrote a complimentary piece to your article. Thank you very much. I thought yours was great, but would you mind kind of looking into this? That's a great way of creating content. It's also a great way of finding ideas that you know will be successful, okay? Now, a lot of people look at video and say, oh, it's so overwhelming. Where do I even get started? I don't even have a camcorder. I get it. I've been there. Everybody has. You're at the bottom looking up, but you don't need to start from scratch. Look for ideas. Dig up old ideas and use them again. Here are just some quick ways we've been able to use clients' old video and make it new again. Grab old webinars, make them on demand. Get the recording of it, put it behind a gated page, promote it out there. Chop up webinars, chop up webcasts, chop up your informational videos, your explainer videos, your whiteboard videos. If they're too long, make them into small little tidbits that would do well on social media. That's how one video can become 6 videos. In fact, we recently worked with Nuvi on a project where we made one video that had 12 tips. And now those 12 tips all became their own 15-second mini tips. And then we split the tips into the do's and then the don'ts. So those tips became 2 larger do tips, 2 do videos and don't videos. And then all of them sat together as a larger 12-tip whole video. Different strokes for different folks. Some people want short, small, little hits. Some people want longer, more informative, educational stuff. So look for the different strokes for different folks. And if you can get people, if you can chop up your video and get a good 15-second hook, link that 15-second hook to the bigger piece of content. Hook them small, get them big. Okay. Look for other successful content that you've had and then video size it. Again, grammar. I love it. Find it and video size it. What does that mean? Go out and look at what content you've created previously that was successful. You might have a blog post sitting there that did crazy well. Why did it do crazy well? Well, probably because it engaged and it created an emotional response. If that's the case, then make it a video. Write a video on that blog. Produce it. Do it. If you had an infographic that did incredibly well, a social campaign, a quiz, something, everybody has had some type of content that did well for them. Go out there and video size it. Because some people want to engage in video, and video is the future, and video is the big trend, and video works on mobile, so do it, okay? Ask influences and circles of content to, those are 3 from the last slide. Look at that. I forgot to delete my old slide things. So ignore those. Those go back to the old one, okay? Now, that is basically tasty, how they did it, why they did it. Now, if we can get into the nitty-gritty of how they did it, but what I'd rather do is, we just talked about a lot of theory here. How to do this, how to do that. What I want us to do is let's build a campaign, okay? So we have the question tab open. People, what I want to do is I want someone to jump in there and say, hey, I want to make a video campaign. Let's do it. So in the question tab, give me your brand, your target audience, your product, whatever it may be. I'm going to choose someone, and then we're going to talk through the process of how we would create content for your target audience to promote your brand. While I'm talking, you should be doing it right now. We'll be going through the steps of, and it goes very quickly, but doing some buyer persona, doing some customer journeys, and different things like that. Okay, so we have Wendy in here who kind of stood up, and keep giving them to me, folks. We probably can get through quite a few of these, okay? But we have Wendy who just said, I'm an architect, rather, not an architecture, but I'm an architect. Okay, great. That is one of my favorites to talk about. We work with quite a few larger real estate groups, builders, contractors, these types of things. Real estate is awesome. Now, if we look at architect, what do people love about architect? They love the outlandish. They don't love your typical. They like seeing things that are atypical or things that are beautiful, things that are extraordinary, okay? Because Architect is such a visual medium, it gives you so much to work with. So if we're looking at your buying persona, and let's say you're going after commercial real estate builders that need to get plans drawn up, or you're going after residential builders, or you're going after this or that. What you want to do is go after your previous projects and highlight them. But not only that, if you want to get people's interest, use famous architects and break those videos down. What I've seen that has worked incredibly well are people giving their thought process on art, on visuals. So their videos are voiceovers, recorded as a webinar, but with, instead of slides, images. And here you can pull up some blueprints and talk about what makes this blueprint so effective, so creative. Look what they did with this nook. Look what they did over here with this free space that is not normally done. Here's a famous building that everybody knows about. It's a museum, or it's this or that. That is where you're going to get the people that really care about architecture, that are junkies on it, that want to dig deep, and they're going to go deeper and deeper and deeper. Okay, where do you promote that? Social media, obviously, but is there a specific channel? Again, it doesn't preclude you from anything. I wouldn't say this. Snapchat probably won't be as effective as some of the others. Twitter is actually very big in a real estate market. Facebook is huge from real estate. So is Instagram. Instagram is actually taking over the real estate world. And if you are looking from the B2B side, going after the commercial side, obviously LinkedIn. YouTube, where you would want to optimize that video for the architect or the brand that you are critiquing or you are going over. That is just one video that you could, one series of videos, again, that you could do. Also, with our other real estate clients, if there are any realtors in here, visual slide decks, taking the most highlighted, the most high-def videos that you have or images, creating a slide deck, a video slide deck, putting some music to it, and then having those autoplay in social media. That's awesome. We call it property porn because people love to look at beautiful homes. So if you're a real estate agent, don't just have static images. Take those images and make them cycle through automatically on a slide deck. That can be done on Windows Movie Maker or Adobe or Apple in about 10 minutes. You don't even need training. Throw your videos up there, drag a music file to it, and hit play. It's as simple as that sometimes, okay? Let's see. I'm going to go through some of these that we have in here. Okay, we're getting a lot of people from, again, you don't even realize just how visual some of your activities are. In here, there's one that we work with quite a bit more as well, is healthcare. So someone mentioned cosmetic dermatologist, okay? So if you're a plastic surgeon or you're in healthcare or you're in dental or anything like that, before and afters, time-lapse videos are massive. Time-lapse videos. People love to see what is possible. Taking your 16 different time lapse of someone coming in right after surgery, 1 week after surgery, 2 weeks after surgery, 3 months after surgery, 1 year after surgery, and then time lapse that. Whether it's weight loss, if you're doing weight loss, before and afters, but time lapse it. Don't make it just a before to an after, but show the gradual steps and make those again into a slide that may be a slide deck video that takes 15 to 30 seconds. On social media, that will catch someone's attention immediately. Before and afters that show the actual progression, that will catch someone's attention immediately. Get some waivers signed if you want that, or blur out faces, however you need to do for privacy matters, but those are some great things. Also, if you are a doctor, understand that your pain point for your customers is the fear of not knowing. They come to doctors because they have something wrong or they want to change something and they don't know how to do that without your help. So explain to them what happens. Some of the best doctors in the world are the ones with the best bedside manner, are the ones that take out that ivory tower mentality and say, I'm going to explain this to you on the most basic level because I want you to know, I want you to be a partner in your healthcare as opposed to just a patient. I want you to understand what's going on here. My father's a doctor, so it's near and dear to my heart, but he had great bedside manner and people loved him because he always brought it down to their level. One of the most popular videos right now out there for doctors and its dermatologists, Dr. Pimple Popper, the most disgusting videos on earth, in my opinion. They make me queasy. It is a doctor who, she is phenomenal. She goes out there and she pops pimples on camera and gets millions upon millions of views. My wife sits up watching these. I don't understand it. It's a psychosis. It drives me nuts, but they are ridiculously popular. And her practice has exploded because of this. So that right there is another way that someone has taken the idea of healthcare and made it something that people love to engage with. Someone put up auto care. Come on, auto care is the easiest one there, guys. Nobody understands cars. I don't understand cars. I love cars. I drive a very fast car, but if I hear a knocking noise, I might as well be trying to find my way to Narnia, okay? Open up the hood and show me something. Tell me how to tell if something is low. Is my AC broken or is my Freon low? Is that squeaking noise my transmission or is it just a timing belt? Is it this or is it that? How-to videos are massive in the auto industry. These are the pain points that your customers run into. Cooking, restaurants are in here. I think we've spent some time talking about how to optimize for cooking and for anything food related. Bring the cameras to the back, bring the cameras to the kitchen and show how things work. Show how you make your meals and your dishes. People would love that. I would love that. Okay. Going through here, keep them coming, people. We're just looking at some of these. Now, again, we're going through these very, very quickly, but I'm telling you about some of these other successful campaigns that people go through. Now, again, if you're having trouble coming up with these ideas, look at it and say, and it takes a very specific skill set to do this. Almost everybody has it, though. It's called make believe. It is putting on a hat that says customer, and it says, I am my customer. What do I care about? And it's answering the questions as if you were playing house. What do I need to know? What do I have a problem with? What am I interested in? Just keep answering those questions as if you were your customer. And that's how you do it. And then all those things you wrote down, that is your roadmap. And then you can get to the point of how will people find out about me? Well, they probably have an interest in, again, let's go back to healthcare, mole removal, or architecture. They're probably looking for smart ideas or designs or landscaping. They're looking at landscaping projects to get ideas for their own project. Pool builders, I'm looking at the pools that are great ideas for what I can do, or I'm looking what could be done on a budget. Cars, I'm looking for how-tos. Plumbers, I'm looking for a how-to. Software, I'm looking for solutions to my problems that are outside of the box. Manufacturing, I'm looking at how the sausage is made. I want to know how these hoverboards are made, or what are the dangers of this, or what should I be looking for when I'm looking for quality, or what should I be understanding? These are all questions. Answer them. Answer them. Okay? Campaigns to, okay, so college athletic department, campaigns to recruit potential players, and campaigns to bring local people to the games. What are sports? Sports are probably, or what are sports? What is sports? Again, grammar, people. You can kill me all day for this stuff, but what are people looking at when they look at sports? It's a direct emotional tie. People are fanatics. That is what is the root word for fan, fanatics. They are emotional. So if you want to get people to the games, embrace the emotion. Show raw videos of people losing their minds at video games. Show the players celebrating. Show the fun. Don't talk about what you are. Don't talk about who you are. Talk about why you are. Why do people come to the games? Why do the players choose your school? Because of that emotion, because of that fanaticism. That's what you want to talk about when it comes to anything that is such high emotion there, okay? Okay, getting students more interested in STEM, in science. This is near and dear to my heart. I am a nerd. I am not even a closet nerd. I am an unabashed nerd. I love all things nerd. When I was in high school, I had to just repress that nerdiness in me. I went to school in Southern Georgia. Football was big. Again, I know I'm Canadian, but I moved to the States and I've mostly grown up in the States. But I had to be cool. I had to play sports. But gosh, did I not want to play some D&D when I got home, or I wanted to take apart a computer. But it wasn't cool for me then. Nerdiness is so cool now. But the thing is that you have to show the possibilities, show the why of science, of math, of coding, of computers. get videos that show people what is possible, how quickly. A lot of science and STEM and math and all this stuff, it's intimidating initially. Break down that intimidation factor, again, going back to a piece of this, by empowering. Empowering. If you want to search chemistry videos on YouTube, you're going to find that some of the most successful ones are chemistry teachers who initially make people excited, an emotional response, again, about science by blowing something up or by making a plume of chemicals shoot out of a beaker, and the class goes, "Oh my gosh!" And then it makes them say, "Why did that happen?" And when they get that curiosity, it's not going to hit everybody. 99% of the people in that room thought that was awesome. Maybe 5%, but that's all you need. Maybe 5% think it's awesome enough to continue looking into it, start reading a book on it, start watching more videos on it, start going to courses on it, and wanting to learn more. The same with coding. Break down coding into its most basic parts, but show what's possible. Show how quickly you can create a web app, or time-lapse it. Show it very fast. And most people are going to say, "That's awesome. I didn't know that's how it worked." And a lot of people will stop and get that emotional response, and then you've got to hook the ones that are going to be your customers for life, the ones you want to build that relationship of trust. You're going to notice that I'm going to be going over the same terms over and over and over again in this presentation, because it's all the same building blocks no matter what industry you're in. So you just ask these questions. So these are mental exercises we are going across, okay? Here's one that's another boring one. And I love boring industries because I feel that boring industries have some of the coolest things that can be done. Okay, Siemens, so a nonprofit, a huge science fair for high school students doing graduate level research. Get more students interested. That's one we just went over. Sorry, it was the one right above it. How do you make thermal insulation come across as interesting? Really? Thermal insulation? How? That's so easy. Wrap something in it and set it on fire. I'm already interested. Do you guys remember these videos that went around social media a while back, and it was fabrics that just wicked off moisture, or they showed a cinder block with the surface tension of water holding a square of water with no walls stay static in the middle of this cinder block. And it looked like a column of liquid, but it was the surface tension holding it there. And it was because there was this hydrophilic substance sprayed around it. Hydrophilic just meaning adverse to water. And it's a spray. And so they started spraying shoes and then dumping them in mud, pulling them out squeaky clean. And again, we're talking about a spray that is hydrophilic. So boring, but the application was so cool. Will it blend? A blender. Could you get more boring than a blender? No, you couldn't. But how do you make that interesting? You blend an iPod. You blend an iPad, all of a sudden it's interesting. So how do you make something that is thermal insulating? Again, get a flamethrower, get something cool, and burn it and not let it burn. See, these are the things that, again, you want that emotional response. Because once you get that emotional response, you're going to get that engagement. Once you get that engagement, you can dig deeper. You can build the relationship. Okay. Let's see. Geek targeting. I like this. We tell geeks what's happening. One moment. It's jumping all around on me. Sorry, I got to go back a little bit to find that one again. Okay, we tell geeks what's happening and how they should be getting out to experience them. So need to be regular news, updates, reviews, and videos and events. Okay, this is actually events targeting is something that I love. A good friend of mine has an events promotion platform. Events are, again, all about emotion, whether it's a concert, whether it's a seminar series, whether it's, again, even boring events. People go to them because either they're being educated, they are getting embraced, they are feeling euphoria from music concerts, these types of things. Embrace that. Find out what is the emotional response that people have at your events, and then highlight that. If it's a learning event, show people having those aha moments. Why do TED Talks do so well? Because they make people feel like geniuses. Go read TED Talk science articles. You'll find out that TED Talks are actually a bunch of crap sometimes. I mean, they have such terrible science, but guess what? They make people feel smart. They empower people. And so people watch TED Talks, which all of a sudden someone says, I love neuroscience. Do you really? Do you? Or did you like that TED Talk that made you like realize how to tell your kid is lying, because real neuroscience is all about, like, I don't even know, pathways and electrical impulses and chemicals and that type of stuff. It's really not that interesting, but the people that got interested from that TED Talk maybe went on to become a neurosurgeon or a neurologist or whatever. But it started with the emotion. So regardless, I want you to find something that has that emotional response. Okay, here's a big long question. High-tech reverse osmosis, power plants, Pepsi, and so on. From the beginning, we do white paper, but are trying to expand. Okay, we do mostly. My goodness, this is a long question. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna have to skip that because it's too long, and I want to get back to some of these other ones that were being asked. All right. Okay, so Charles, I'll answer the other question. So you asked a question of how do you grab such a specific target in a small, tight niche industry as reverse osmosis? So the cool thing about buyer personas is the more specific you can get with a buyer persona, the better it becomes. So don't tell me you're looking at the VP of Ops at a company. Rather, tell me their specific job requirements. What do they do on a daily basis? What are they looking for? What are the solutions they're going after? So if you're in reverse osmosis, again, yeah, boring. We're forcing water through a permeable layer. See, I pretend to be dumb sometimes. But anyways, so you're doing that, but that's not really all that exciting. But what can you do with it? And if you're going after someone that is interested in filtration purposes, or you're going after someone that is interested in it because of its cost effectiveness or its speed, then show your differentiators side by side. I just watched this video that was brilliantly done, and it was an antibiotic video. And what they did was they made a giant petri dish, and they layered different antibiotics across it, and then they cultured microbes on this giant petri dish. And what you saw were these stark delineations in each line. And again, for most of the audience, that's not going to mean anything. But for someone who's a little bit interested in science, I watched a TED Talk video, you know what I mean? But no, I thought it was really cool. So I watched it, and I got to see how microbes spread and how they interact with antibiotics. And then they went on to talk about how they were a research industry and how they do these types of things. Now, if I was a manufacturer of antibiotics, which there is a group here that we were just at an event with yesterday called Curza out in Utah, that does that. Now, if I was the buyer for that company, they had me. They had me because they intrigued me and they got me right away. Now, you have to understand, in niche audiences, you are going to be making content that many, many people that are not your target buyer are going to be seeing, but that's okay, because it does not cost you anything for them to see it most of the time if you're doing it correctly. But when your target audience does see it, it resonates, it clicks, and it engages. And that's what you want to do. So don't worry about how narrow your audience is. Worry about talking to that narrow audience. Okay? Worry about talking to them. If you can engage with them, regardless of how many people see it, when the right person sees it, that's when it matters. Okay, that's when it matters. There was recently a video that did incredibly well, millions of views out there. It was Adobe. And a lot of you probably saw this, where it shows an encyclopedia, and you can just search Adobe Encyclopedia video. But it shows an encyclopedia company that has been on the down and outs for quite a while. All of a sudden, orders start rolling in, and they start freaking out, and they're like, "We're back in business, everybody!" And they turn on the plants, and all of a sudden, they're chopping more trees, and shipping is happening, and they call up their investors and their board, and they all start throwing a big party, and the encyclopedia business is back in business because they were getting so many orders, so many clicks to the website. And then it shows back to the very beginning, and it's a kid on an iPad just smacking the buy now button for this encyclopedia ad that's up in the middle of their game. And it goes back to, and then the tagline is, do you really want to, do you understand who's really clicking on your ads? And it's for Adobe Analytics, which is Omniture, which they purchased. But what a lot of people don't know is Adobe Analytics is crazy expensive, and it's only an enterprise tool. And that video being viewed by bazillions of people was being laughed at and being engaged with a ton of people that had no business watching it. And when the tagline came up, they could not have cared less. It did not matter to them, because they're never going to pay for an enterprise analytics solution for their website, and they're not going to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a year on it. But it was shared and shared and engaged with and engaged with, and eventually I guarantee you that made it to the right desks, the right computers, and the right mobile devices of the buying personas that they wanted to target inside these enterprise accounts. And they engaged with them on an emotional level and made them laugh. And there was a successful marketing campaign. That's what I would say to anybody that is in a niche industry. Love niche industries, okay? Recruiting, that's actually near and dear to my heart as well. I was a recruiter in another life. So what are the questions people are asking in your industry? Well, HR people are trying to figure out how to get through resumes, how to quickly identify A players. Job seekers, on the other hand, are out there looking and trying to find out what impact does it have if I jump jobs every 6 months. These are searches that happen. What type of retirement can I expect if I'm leaving my job once a year? These are the questions you need to answer. Get on a video and just say, hey, job seekers, I understand that, in San Francisco, the average job length right now is under a year. Did you know that by jumping around, while you might be increasing your salary, if you don't take a pause and wait at an organization for at least 3 years every 5 years, that you are going to be hampering your future ability to get a job or to move up? Here are some of my best tips for job seekers. Here are some tips for my HR directors to be able to find the A players very quickly. Here are the best interview questions you can be asking. Here are some tips in body language that you can be giving while in your interview process. Trust me, I know how important it is for them to have a good interview. You find the recruiter, you find the company that has a need, you find the candidate, you put them together, you are powerless. But if you can give body language, speech, think about, public speaking and engagement videos and tips and tricks like that, and then send it to your people and say, here you go. People search, how do I have a good interview? What should I say in my interview? So that is where you go with those to, again, get both sides of them. Okay, I'm a shopping mall. How do you suggest consistency could work when you are promoting a wide variety of brands under one umbrella? Again, I would talk about the convenience factor there. If you're making videos, talk about all the groups there, but also introduce them to the to the companies. Don't just say, hey, we have a hair salon. Talk about the hair salon. What makes that hair salon so special in your shopping mall? Go in there and interview some of the hairstylists. Make them feel like they have an emotional attachment to them. Promote those locally on social media. You can geo-target very effectively on Instagram and Facebook. So really, again, personalize it. Don't view it as brand to consumer, but view it as human to human at every level, because eventually you are just talking to another person, okay? On the social media. You know what, people, I apologize. We are coming to the end, so I'm going to have to wrap this up right now. But if you do have any other questions, let's go on to this next slide. Please feel free to reach out to me, Mike@foxtailmarketing.com. You can ask me any questions. I am happy to go through them. I might take a little bit of time to get back to you, but I love answering questions and helping people get through their problems. If you are interested in seeing just how in-depth you can get with your social media and how you can use social analytics to really just put a turbocharger on your social activities and your brand activities, go check out Nuvi, nuvi.com. You can ask for a demo with them. But thank you very much for attending today. We will be having another monthly webinar next month. We hope to see you then. And again, thank you very much. If you have any other questions, let me know. Thank you.